This is perhaps my favorite lesson so far. It's certainly my favorite one when we're talking about roads, and that is to talk about the 85th percentile speed. In the book, Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman describes the human brain as having two systems to process information. They have system one and system two. System one is impulsive, automatic, intuitive. It's the kind of thing that regulates your kind of very fast response, your impulse. System two, on the other hand, is more thoughtful, more deliberate, more calculating. It's the when you sit down to think about something and process something and really, really activate your brain. Let me give you an example of this. Answer these questions for me. What is 1 plus 1? What is the square root of 49? What is 324 plus 897? Now, almost all of you were able to, when I asked you the first question, 1 plus 1, answer it using system 1. You know this answer. You don't have to think about it. It just comes out of your brain. You didn't have to dig deep and process. It just happened. That's system 1. A lot of you, when I said the square root of 49, knew that that's 7. You've done your multiplication table, 7 times 7 equals 49. You were able to do it in reverse, and you didn't really have to engage system 2. You could really do that with just a system 1 response. But almost all of you, I am certain, when I said 324 plus 897, had to sit and grind and grind and grind on that one and think about it, and probably have not yet come up with an answer, because it requires you to stop listening to me and to concentrate on something else. This is the difference between system 1 and system 2. Now, driving is a system 1 activity. It is largely automatic and intuitive, especially when we get on the open road. If you think of like a parking lot often becomes a system 2 activity. There's people around, there's cars backing in and out. We have to focus and be very deliberate. If you're driving through a place where you're picking up, the one I always think of is picking up my kids from school. When you're picking up your kids from school and you're coming into the schoolyard, there's parents, there's kids, there's people running all over the place. You got to be engaged. You turn down the radio, turn off the radio. You don't talk to the people next to you. You're very, very focused. That's system 2. Most of the time, for almost all the time you're driving, you're engaging in system 1. It's very intuitive. It's very automatic. You don't have to access that very thoughtful and deliberate part of your brain in order to do it. This realization or this assertion upsets a lot of people, particularly activists, who would like driving to always, at all times, in all places, be a system 2 activity. But understand that we could not do that. Your brain cannot sustain system 2 for long. System 2 takes a lot of work. It's physically very draining. You cannot do this for a long time. Driving has become a system 1 activity because that is what humans are capable of tolerating. Once you grasp that driving is a system 1 activity, you can start to understand the 85th percentile speed. In system 1, people will drive the speed that they feel comfortable driving. And they will drive that speed regardless of what the posted speed limit is. Remember, driving is an intuitive activity. It's a system 1 activity. In system 1, we're not really thinking consciously about what we're doing. We're just going through the motions. 1 plus 1 is 2, that kind of thing. And so people tend to drive the speed that they feel comfortable driving. Now, that's not a universal truth. I've pointed out many times that, if you had a roadway designed for 60 mile an hour speed and you set the speed limit at 20 miles an hour, there would be some people who would drive 20 miles an hour because they are like law and order people, and they would focus and engage their system 2 and they would drive 20 miles an hour. Most people, and not just most people, but the vast overwhelming majority of people would go faster than 20 miles an hour. And there would be some tension, some system 1, system 2 tension, because the people who are in system 1, if it's designed for 60 mile an hour speed, are going to approach or approximate 60 miles an hour. Everyone else would have this tension between, where the law is and where speed limit is actually comfortable driving. If you measure how people drive, if you measure the speed that they are driving at, what you will see is that the vast majority of people will drive at what the safest speed is for that roadway. If you make the speed limit artificially low, you'll get crashes. You'll get crashes because some people will follow the speed no matter how low it is. And because you're engaged in system one, what you've got now is speed differential on the roadway. That's the most dangerous thing. So you have people driving artificially slow. If you make the speed limit too high, there will be some that will push that limit. Some people who are going to push the limit no matter where you put it. It's a small fraction of people, but they will cause crashes if you put that limit too high. And so what we do, and I used to do these as a young intern at the Department of Transportation when I was an undergraduate, you actually go out and you sit on the roadway with a radar gun and you measure people's speed. What speed are people driving? And when you get done with this, you plot them all up. You say the fastest person was going this fast, slowest person was going this fast. Here's how many people were going in between. And let's say you had an even 1,000 people that you measured. What you would say is that we're going to take the top 150, we're going to throw those out, and whatever that 151st person, in other words, the 85th percent, 85% of people are driving at that speed or below, whatever that speed is, that's the speed limit. That's the speed that is safe for people to be driving. We're going to come back to this system one, system two, approach when we talk about speed on streets, because when we get to streets, we actually want to do things to engage system two, because we need people to slow down, be very aware. If we want our streets to be safe, we have to engage system two. But when we're talking about roads, it's all system one, and it's all about the 85th percentile speed. One last thing, in the notes for this section, I'm going to provide a link to a video called Speed Kills Your Pocketbook. It's a cheeky video. It's got some cursing, but if you get into it, it's really smart stuff. It's really smart stuff. It gets to how drivers respond to speed, albeit it does it from the perspective of someone who's ticked off at getting speeding tickets. That doesn't make it any less valid. And what it does is it actually pushes back on some of the common perceptions about speeds and our understanding about speeds. When we're on roads, 85th percentile. When we're on streets, we want to start talking about system two, which we will here in a couple sections from now. At this point now, we're ready to have a talk about our stroads and how we convert them into great roads.